Hi, buenos dias, everyone. It's Daja here, live from the hammock, and I decided to start a new series, Story Time in the Hammock with Daja. The name might change, but this is going to be episode 1 of Story Time with Daja. And the story I'm going to tell is one that I've told before on Instagram Live, but a lot of people on my YouTube aren't on my Instagram, so I'm going to tell that story here now. So the story of the day is how I ended up in Costa Rica. And I've mentioned little bits of it in my other videos, but I'm going to give y'all the full story of the unfolding that brought me here to this now moment, this beautiful, perfect now moment. So I went to college at Georgia Southern University. I was a double major and I had a minor because I cannot choose, but my majors were creative writing, Spanish language, and my minor was sociology. So these were the things that were of interest to me. And when I was in a Spanish class in college, I sat next to this girl who was telling me about her study abroad trip to Costa Rica. And I was about to go to study abroad in Spain. And so I was like, really interested in traveling for the first time and really eager for that and just excited by the realization that I had that I could be in other places. All my life I was just like, I'm in the United States, maybe someday I'll go abroad once or something, but I didn't really know it was an option to live somewhere else. But anyway, she told me about Costa Rica. She was like, it was amazing. There were waterfalls and jungles and mountains, and she talked about zip lining, and she just had a lot of good things to say. So I held on to that knowledge. And I also went to Spain for study abroad. I don't remember why I chose Spain, but that's where I went. I think it was cheaper too than other trips. But anyways, I went to Spain, Sevilla, Spain for 6 weeks. And I absolutely fell in love with the Spanish language. I was like, I'm actually pretty good at Spanish, and I was learning really quickly. At that time, I was just taking Spanish as a requirement. After I went to Spain, I was like, okay, this is going to be my minor, and I'm going to have 2 minors. But then I really was just enjoying Spanish so much in college that I decided to make it my second major, because originally just creative writing was my major. But yeah, so the Spanish language is one of the big reasons that I'm in Costa Rica. I love learning Spanish, and I love how easy it kind of comes to me. So anyways, I did my study abroad in Spain, chose to make it my minor, and then literally maybe 2 weeks later, I was like, okay, no, I'm actually gonna make it a double major and just take on some more Spanish classes. So to fulfill that credit of Spanish classes, I was like, I need to study abroad again. So I signed up to study abroad the very next summer in Costa Rica. Unfortunately, though, that trip was canceled because only 2 of us signed up. So they canceled the trip. And I was really disappointed because I had my heart set on Costa Rica, and I had been visualizing it and saying, I'm going to Costa Rica. So then when that didn't unfold in that way, I was kind of sad. And it's funny to think about that now that I actually have been living here for years. But I didn't go for study abroad. And instead, I went to Mexico because for that trip, more people signed up. So rerouted, went to Mexico. Loved it, fell more in love with Spanish, got really good at my Spanish when I was in Mexico. And it's an absolutely amazing place. I was in a place called Mérida, Mexico. And at that point, I realized, okay, I want to live in a Spanish-speaking country. I loved the way it felt to be in a new place and to be open to learning every day about this new culture. And I just loved the adventure of life. My Venus is in Aries, and I love excitement and adventure and newness. So being in a new place and constantly having to adapt, I really love that energy. I love having to adapt to the situation and just being wide open and being observant and learning. I love that energy. So loved it in Mexico. At that point, I was like, okay, I was going into my senior year in college, and I knew I needed to make plans for after college. And I wanted to live abroad. So I started to do research, and I saw that you could teach English as a second language and live in whatever country. You could live anywhere in the world. So I started doing a lot of research on teaching English as a second language. Also, I was in a class, because my major was writing, and in my writing classes, there was this other student who was a senior when I was a junior, and he talked about how he was about to move to Mexico and how he spoke Spanish fluently. And when he said that, it was another one of those things that sparked like my, oh, you can live abroad and practice your Spanish. Like, I want to do that. And I was thinking something temporary, like live somewhere for a year to get fluent at Spanish and then bring that skill back to the States. That was the mentality for me at the time, still thinking I needed to be a part of the rat race. So that was another seed that was planted. Also, one thing I didn't mention was when I was in Spain studying abroad, one day me and my friends went out to a bar, a salsa bar. We were watching everybody dance, and it was just beautiful. And we met this girl who was from the States. I don't remember what state she was from. It was like North Carolina or something like that. And she was explaining how she had been living in Spain for like 2 years and how she spoke Spanish fluently. And I was just seeing her out there dancing and living her best life. And I was just like really vibing with her energy. And that was another one of those things along my journey that sparked my knowledge that, oh, like I could live somewhere else. I don't have to live in the United States. Like I can have a life in another country, which is something, you know, I just didn't know about. I didn't know about expat culture and how there are people from the States or people from any countries living all over the world. I really didn't know it was an option for me because it wasn't something that anyone was sharing with me. Neither of my parents had ever left the States. Only one of my siblings had traveled before. So travel still seemed like this like luxurious thing. So yeah, the seeds were planted along the way. I didn't end up getting to go to Costa Rica, so I went to Mexico. And then I was in Spanish class my senior year, and one of my teachers was saying that there was a spring break trip to Costa Rica for the honors program. I was not an honors student, but it was like they're going to be volunteering and learning Spanish. And actually we weren't learning Spanish. It was just volunteer work here in Costa Rica, in the capital. And I told her how I really wanted to go, and it was a teacher who really liked me. I mean, I was a very good student. I had all A's, even though I wasn't an honor student. So she said that they could make an exception, and they allowed me to sign up for the spring break honors program to come to Costa Rica. So I did end up coming through my university, and we came. We worked with this school called CPI. I highly recommend it for people who are thinking about coming here and they want to do volunteer work or they want to learn Spanish. They have schools in 3 different locations in the country. I've worked in all of them at this point. But anyways, CPI was the portal for me to come and experience the space. I did volunteer work in a place called La Carpio, which is like a place where Nicaraguan immigrants settled many, like maybe 2 generations ago, many years ago. And now, I mean, all the children are being born in Costa Rica, but it hasn't been really accepted by Costa Rica because so many immigrants are there. You know, there's a lot of discrimination against the Nicaraguan immigrants here in Costa Rica. So I was working with them, working at a school just for this 1 week, volunteering. And I loved it. I really got a lot of nourishment from my experience, and my Spanish was just booming. I was like, I'm so good at Spanish. And again, it's not perfect, but I was able to talk and communicate and understand and at a lot higher level than like my other friends who were on the trip with me too. So I was just, very activated. So then I already had in mind at that point that I wanted to teach in another country. And so when I decided to do the spring break trip, I was like, I'm gonna go and teach in Costa Rica for a year, and that way I'll get to go to Costa Rica during this trip to check it out before I move there. So when I came for that 1 week, I already knew I was gonna be moving there just a few months later, because it was only a few months before I graduated. So of course I worked with the school CPI. They had the volunteer program, and I got to meet like the owner and one of the like higher managers. Love them. Love you, John Lee and Aredis. Love you. And I told them I was going to be moving there soon. So they just kept that in mind. They knew I had a high level of Spanish. And then a couple months later, May 2017, I graduated college. 2 weeks later, I moved to Costa Rica to do a TEFL program, to teach English as a second language, and get a little certificate so that I'm able to teach in foreign countries. Like, basically, proving that to them that I can teach, English grammar and such. So I did that. That was a 1-month program. And during my program, I got a call from that school that I had volunteered with. And they were like, we're looking for group assistants, which is like a tour guide that works with other groups that come here to volunteer or to learn Spanish, because they have 2 different types of programs. And they have like it's like a counselor person who stays with them throughout the trip, who translates for them, calls in reservations at the hotels and at the restaurants, makes all the orders in the restaurants, and just different like logistical things like that. So I worked that job a few summers in a row. And then that was another thing that just helped me to root here, and also made my Spanish language level much higher. So yeah, I did that in the summer and during spring breaks. And other than that, I was teaching at a school, actually the same school I got my TEFL certificate. I went on to teach English there and also teach TEFL to other people receiving their certificate. And yeah, I had a whole life just unfold, like job opportunities, and I had an amazing roommate who's another Black American from New Orleans, Daja. She know who she is. And I found the most perfect apartment or house with her, and we rented that out, and it was just all beautiful. So that's how the story began. That's how I got here. And then while I was teaching during that year, I decided I wanted to get a master's because I wanted to be making more money, and I was still in that mindset of like, to make more money, I have to get like more certifications to prove to these people that they need to pay me more, because I was making like $9 an hour as a teacher. And so I started researching master's programs that you can like work to pay for it, or basically free master's programs. And I found one in Spain at Universidad de Alcalá that has a free master's program, but you work for it. Like you work 5 days a week, and then you go to your master's class on Friday nights. So it was a really hard program, honestly. Just because there's so much. I was working in an elementary school for so many hours during the week, and then still had to do my master's classes and my thesis and homework, and also I need time for myself. So it was a hard program, but it was really fun living in Spain for a year. I lived in Madrid. It was a lot of crazy stuff happening that I won't go into, but lots of crazy stuff happened, and energy moved around that kind of pushed me to be like, okay, I actually am over this place. And I thought I wanted to just keep bouncing around country to country and just check out different areas. I still wanted to travel. I wanted to discover the world. I thought I was never going to ground in one place. But yeah, I had a really crazy experience happen at the end of my time in Spain. So I just went back to the States suddenly, brought my cat and all my stuff, and I had a job lined up. I told them that I couldn't work that job anymore. And I went back to the States, and I just fucking broke down. I was crying all the time. I was a mess. I was very emotional because I didn't know where I wanted to go, and I don't feel safe in the spaces that I have in the States, like in both my mom's house and in my dad's house. There are energies around, not necessarily coming from my parents themselves, but just energies around that are just not safe for me. So it was just really heavy, and I knew I wanted to be happy again. And I sat in meditation. I was like, when was the last time I was truly happy and full of bliss? And Costa Rica. I was like, Costa Rica. When I lived in Costa Rica, I was doing so much shadow work, so much spiritual work. I didn't even know it was called shadow work when I was doing it then, but I was delving so deep into myself, and I already had the vision. I was like, I want to help other people who are going through these heavy emotions that I'm going through. Like, I want to be a counselor. I want to have retreats. I want to have a women's center. Like, I had all these ideas flowing to me, and I was filled with all this light. And I was like, oh my God, I feel like I had a revelation, truly. I was like, this is it. I'm supposed to go back to Costa Rica, and I'm supposed to create this whole other world, and I'm not going to even be a teacher anymore. I saw this idea, like, I'm going to be a teacher. Maybe I'll teach in university someday. And I was on a whole other path. And I was like, no, I'm supposed to be healing myself and others. I'm supposed to be healing. So in that moment, I messaged my old boss when I worked as a tour guide, and I was like, I want to come back to Costa Rica. Do you have any work? And she said, yeah, they had a trip that I could work with. So that was like my opportunity. I was like, okay, I'm going to go back, and I'm just going to work this job because it's like here and there. They also have a hotel. So it's like when I'm not doing a trip, I can work reception in the hotel. So again, I still thought I really needed a job, and I really needed some structure to come here. So I came here, worked as a tour guide, and then I was working in the hotel, and then COVID shit hit. So I lost those jobs and they weren't working because Costa Rica was completely closed. And I had a friend who I met via Instagram that I knew I wanted to connect with them because they're like a sound healer and just a beautiful spirit that I had connected with through Instagram. Sabrina, shout out to Sabrina. Woo. But they were here doing a donation-based retreat with the Holy Haven and here in the Osa Peninsula, and I just came down to do a retreat for 2 weeks, and it's a year and 9 months later. So I came to this space and it's just so deeply nourishing, like holistically nourishing, mind, body, spirit. It's where I became plant-based, began to eat plant-based foods, and just heal so much deep-rooted trauma. Still, I mean, I'm still doing that, but that's why I stay in this space, because it just holds me in that. I love Costa Rica. It's absolutely beautiful. This is the most rural place I've ever lived, and I realized this is my dream. You know, this is actually fully in alignment for my journey, is to be deeply immersed in nature and also surrounding myself with beings who are in alignment with my journey. Like all of my friends here, like they just have nourishing energies. They're love. And the community that has just continued to unfold here has just been pure beauty, nothing but healers. Everyone has these gifts that they can share with one another, and all of us just uplift each other and support each other in a way that I had never been uplifted or supported before when I lived in the States. So it just held me, and it just continuously has been showing me like, this is where I belong, this is where I belong, this is my home, this is my home, this is my home. To the point where now I finally got land. I'm in the process of making the second payment of the land. I'm fundraising for that because I didn't come here with $1 million like some do. Like I just came here with myself and a dream. A dream that continues to expand and change and grow and be filled with light. So here I am. 4 years later since I graduated. 4 years later since I graduated. I graduated May 2017. What month we in? We're in September of 2021. I did leave and go to Spain, but that was just for about 10 months that I was in Spain. So I was really only outside of Costa Rica for about a year before I came back. And yeah, here I am. So grateful. So grateful. So that was my long story. Enjoy it. Blessed love to everyone who took the time to watch. If you want to know more about Costa Rica, hit me up on Instagram. I hope you find serenity. I do consultation calls and I help people to relocate here and to just come here if they want to travel and visit. I can help you plan your trip, and also I can just send you some love, share some knowledge. So, bless. This has been Story Time in the Hammock with Daja.